Today I'm working on this $300 94 FZR600. It's pretty rough, and I don't really know exactly the whole history on it, but I'll give you all a walk around. Bought this thing for 300 bucks, and off of camera I've already taken off the body work. Just cut a lot of zip ties, took the body work off, took the gas tank off, and other than that, this is pretty much how I got it, with the exception of some zip ties. All I've done so far is I've taken the flywheel cover off and made sure that the motor does turn over and all the valves move. So that's a good sign. All the wiring is here. It was about halfway plugged in, the wiring harness. So I've gone through and plugged everything in. So we'll see. I don't see why it can't run. I think it'll be a runner. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do with this thing. I basically bought this and a whole lot of parts with it for a total of 300 bucks. So, you know, how could you pass it up? I actually have another engine too, for some reason. If this one doesn't run, I've actually got about two and a half FZR600 engines right now. So I think I can make one of them run. So next order of business really is to go through these carburetors over here. This was the cleanest set of carbs that I had. This set was on the bike. I had another set, but this set was a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to clean these, and then we'll confirm that this thing has some spark, and then we'll put some oil in it because there's no oil in it. The owner told me that there is no oil in it, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if she'll fire off. I'm thinking she will, so let's see. Alright, so I've already started to impact drive these off. You can see there's a little bit of blue. Looks like somebody used some gasket maker there. So I ended up throwing one screw away because I had to chisel it off. But we'll take these first two off, see how they look. Right. That one's pretty boogered up. I'm probably gonna have to chisel it off. Carbs apart. Only had to throw away 2 float screws. This side obviously was leaking because somebody RTV'd it, but all in all they look pretty good. I've already taken the jets out and I can see through all of them, but I'm still gonna blow air through everything obviously. And then as for the boots, I think all the CV boots are good. Everything moves up and down like it should. The carbs are dirty, but I'm not really worried about that right now because I just want to see if this thing's gonna fire off. The floats move up and down like they should, and it doesn't seem like the needle on it's stuck either. One thing I am gonna have to do, I was able to remove these float bowl gaskets. I'm gonna take a little bit of this brake fluid here and try to get them to swell up so I can revive them, because I don't want to put gas in this thing and have it just dump out. And then these vacuum hoses in between the float bowls, I'm probably going to go ahead and replace these gaskets. They don't look too bad, but I've got this O-ring kit here, and these are fuel rated. You can get this at Harbor Freight for like $7 or $8. Definitely worth having. So we'll get to that and put some gas in these things and see what happens. So got the carburetors on. I didn't have to fight them too hard. I just had to heat it up for a good bit. The only thing I did notice after, you know, pretty much putting all of my weight onto this thing was the boots are pretty much really cracked all the way around. It's even worse up under there. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm sure some of those cracks are all the way through the boots. Who knows? But the biggest thing is I'm just trying to get this thing running right now, so I'm not too worried about that. I just want to hear this engine run. I have 2 more sets of those boots that are probably equally as old. I'll have to see if they're any worse or any better. But the carburetors are on, so I've already unplugged all the plug wires here. There's a little bit of dirt down in there, so I'm just gonna blow that crap out before I open the cylinders up by taking the plugs out. But we'll see if this thing has some spark and get some oil in it. So since I have no idea how much really how long this thing's been sitting, I'm just gonna go ahead and spray a little bit of WD down in these cylinder holes, and then when I turn it over and check for spark, I'll leave the plugs out of it and let all that crap fly out of there. But I'm gonna let that sit in the cylinders for a second. That way, you know, keep anything from getting damaged. It's probably dry as a bone in there. I mean, I did turn it over by hand, but it's just kind of a precautionary measure. And over here I've got the plugs, NGK CR9Es. You know, they look pretty black, but I've got these used auto lights. These are actually 8s. I think 8. I know an 8 is a factory for my FZR600, so going from a 9 to an 8 shouldn't matter. But we'll throw these in here for now because I know they're good. And yeah, we'll see if this thing has some spark. Alright, this is what we got set up here for power. A little sketchy, but some signs of life. Let's see. Oil light comes on. Flick the kill switch on. Alright. So when we hit the engine start, the oil light just flashes. The neutral switch, the neutral light's on, so it doesn't think that it's in gear. Well, I checked over the fuses and they all looked good, and I went upstairs to get another beer, and I got to thinking about it, and I was like, why don't I just try jumping off the solenoid with a screwdriver? So we'll do just that, and I've already done it. So as you can hear, it turns over. And the interesting thing is, this looks like a brand new solenoid. It's probably from eBay or something. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. I don't know, maybe my connection here is no good. I've had these mess. I could take this apart and clean that. Alright, so for filming purposes, I've zip tied this plug wire and this spark plug up, and I got it sitting on this bolt on the frame. So let's see if this thing gets some spark. Put y'all down here. I don't see any spark. Definitely no spark. Alright, so coming back with a bit of an update. It's been a few weeks. I've walked away from this thing for a little bit now. And I went over the wiring a good bit. I had some extra relays and rectifiers and CDI boxes, and none of that fixed anything. And then I forgot to check one of the most obvious things, and the what is this? The side stand switch was actually, you can tell the whole thing was covered in electrical tape, even on the harness end of it. So I just looped it right here, and as soon as I did that, we had bright blue spark consistently. So, and I've already off camera put everything back together here. I just now noticed that these are pretty loose, so I'm going to tighten those up. I think I've got the plug wires in the right order. It doesn't really look right, but the labeling on them is like gone. I think that's right. I might have to check it. Another thing I did was, I'm leaving the instrument panel unplugged for right now because I don't like how corroded everything is, and the last thing I need is for more issues. So I just don't want that to cause any grounding issues. So for right now, that's undone. And I hooked up the throttle cable to the carburetors so that way I can have a way to rev up the bike. I might have to put an air box or some pod filters on this thing before I start it. These carbs kind of don't really act right if they don't have anything to pull a vacuum. So other than that, another thing I just noticed is I didn't even put the clutch, or not the clutch, the choke cable on, and I don't feel like pulling these carburetors back off. So probably what I'm gonna do to get the choke going is I'm going to take this screwdriver and just kind of put it in there like that and manually turn the chokes. So like I said, we're a little bit rigged up right now, but that's okay because I just want to hear this thing start. I've already put oil in it. The brakes, the front brake calipers are seized. You can barely spin the front wheel, so I might undo those before I roll it out of the shop. I'm definitely not going to fire it up in here, just as safety precaution wise, and I still need to hook gas up to this thing and see if the carburetor's piss or not. So I'll get back to y'all after we do everything I just talked about. Alright, so it's like totally raining outside, so I've got this thing as close to the door as possible, and I got my fire extinguisher ready. It's a little sketchy because we're still jumping off the starter solenoid, but we'll see what happens. And I've got the velocity stacks on now. I don't know if that'll be enough to let me actually rev up the engine, but we'll see if it even starts first. Alright, so we're already on attempt number 2 of starting this thing, and I haven't even tried to start it yet. As soon as I flicked the key, it just popped a main fuse. So I got that replaced, we got power. Let's see what happens. It's already drank some gasoline and nothing's leaked out. So let's see. My battery's low. Can't do nothing with that. Alright, so it's the next day. We got the battery charged up. I let it charge for a few hours last night, and I didn't go to bed with it charging because I don't totally trust that charger, but either way, the battery's charged up and I got the charger on it now, so I'm going to turn this thing over some more. And while I was at it, I went ahead and put the radiator on. That way we can run it for longer than 5 seconds. So got the radiator on and just filled it full of water for now. So see what happens. Take 3. Third time is the charm. We got the juice. Let me make sure my kill switch is actually on. Okay. I think, now that I think about it, I think the kill switch was actually off the first time I tried turning it over. So Choke on. Oh, I heard fire. I heard some fire, and I just realized I don't have my IV hooked up, but I heard fire, so I'm already excited. Yeah, I can't believe it. I didn't even think about that. The first attempt 1 and 2, we didn't even have the kill switch flicked on when we were turning the engine over. Yeah. This thing's gonna sound crazy, open headers. This is actually 2-stroke gas, but I don't think it'll mind. Just pour a little bit in there. Alright. What do I do with my tools? Alright, come on now. Kill switch is on. Let's try no choke. I think she wants no choke. Come on now. Did we just blow a fuse? I think I just blew another main fuse. Try that again. Choke on. Let's try it. Let's go no choke. You know what? Might need to open the throttle up a little bit. Sucks I don't have the actual throttle hooked up. I'll hold the throttle wide open. Well, we know we got spark because it's sparking. It's trying. I'm gonna let that battery charge up a little bit, and I'm gonna let the battery charge up, and I'm gonna spray a little bit of starting fluid in the carburetors. I know it sounds like it needs sparking. All I need to pee on it. Okay. I knew it was gonna do that, and then I didn't have a plan to actually shut it off. Woo! Alright. It runs. It runs. Alright, so I don't know how much of the camera recorded that because the camera just messed up and I had to go get a different GoPro. But I got the idle set okay, and then I went to rev it and it just like hung wide open, and then I'm spazzing out trying to find my kill switch. So I don't know. Definitely not trying to blow this thing up. You know, I'm pretty sure it hasn't ran in like 20 years. I'm gonna fire it up one more time and see what the hell's going on. My cables are returning properly, so I'm not really sure why the revs are hanging when I revved it. But let's fire it up one more time. I'll do a walk around with the idle if it'll idle. Alright, so no choke. to be revved, but it does idle pretty well. I'm pretty impressed with how it idles. So, like I said, I think really before I try to tune this thing anymore, it needs to be gone through. I need to make the starter work by a button without having to jump it the way I am. And, you know, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this thing. It seems like it runs pretty good for how quickly how little effort I put into it. The fact that it just idles is pretty sweet. I think it'll probably run better with an actual muffler on it. But if I keep it, it needs a lot of work. All the suspension's gonna have to be rebuilt. I'm sure all the bearings are there's probably not grease in those anymore. I know the brakes are locked up. I'm sure the wheel bearings are shot. The tires are dry rotted. The wiring sucks. I'm probably gonna have to go through the carburetors again because it's an FZR. You know, and I gotta figure out. I have all the pieces for the throttle assembly. I gotta remember how they go together. I'm not sure. What do you guys think I should do?